Well, hi everyone. I'm John Redland with a retro review of WrestleWar 1991 from WCW. This show was a mess. Had a good War Games main event, had a couple other good matches, but this was when WCW was spiraling out of control. Thanks, Jim Herd. They wouldn't spiral out of control again, until, I don't know, 1999, 2000. Gee, Vince Russo has struck again. That being said, there were some cool parts on the show, but overall, 1991, what a fucking mess it was. Tony Schiavone welcoming us, and Jim Ross and Dusty Rhodes on commentary. Dusty Rhodes coming back to WCW after being in WWE for about a year and a half. And we have the WCW six-man tag team championships that I forgot even existed. There were only 4 different champions in 1991. They were retired, I want to say, in like November, December of 1991. They didn't last very long. Six-man tag team championships had actually been around even in Jim Crockett Promotions, in World Class Championship Wrestling, and other promotions, but these were ill-advised because it was just makeshift teams. It wasn't even teams that really had any, reason to team up except, well, we have nothing for you, so here, we're going to give you these championships that don't really mean anything. So you have Big Cat, aka Mr. Hughes, and State Patrol. So it's a black guy with 2 cops. That's all I'm going to say right there. There's also in Phoenix, Arizona. That is important for a little bit later because somebody decides to make a few insensitive comments. So we get, but State Patrol, Lieutenant James Earl Wright, I had to write these down, and Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker, you know, that guy that wasn't any good in the ring. They took on Ricky Morton, Tommy Rich, and JYD. JYD, who had his head completely shaved, and wasn't really all that mobile at this point. It was really sad to see. The match was okay, but for 10 minutes, it felt like it drug on a little bit. He hit the big thumb power slam in, and Ricky Morton topped Parker 1, 2, 3. So the champions retained. Good, I guess. It didn't really matter. The titles didn't mean anything. Alexandra York, the future Terry Runnels, talking about Terry Taylor. You know, he was a computerized man of the 1990s, because when I think of computers, I think of Terry Taylor. When I think of technology, Terry Taylor is the first name on that list. Terry Taylor could be the only name on that list, and he would not be the first person I would think of. He never recovered from that Red Rooster gimmick, good God. But it's about the match Terry Taylor's going to have a little bit later with the Z-Man, and that, according to the computer, because Alexandra York had a giant, old school laptop computer with her, said that, he will beat Z-Man in less than 15 minutes and 28 seconds, which actually proved to be correct. We then get Bobby Eaton versus Brad Armstrong. Both good workers. Bobby Eaton, maybe a bit of a better worker. Brad never necessarily got his huge break, but was a good territory guy. There's a lot of arm focus and a lot of arm drags, and great mood is just in the crowd suddenly. It's to hype up the WCW New Japan co-promotion show that would be taking place in the Tokyo Dome, or the Egg Dome. Any dome. They got a lot of domes over there, so it was okay. The leg drop off the top, Bobby Eaton got the victory. The match wasn't bad, but it's just for 2 guys that are really talented, this just didn't pop for me. And it's sad because, again, especially Bobby Eaton, often forgotten about that he had a pretty good singles run, and then also was part of the Blue Bloods WCW stable, Earl Robert Eaton, and they didn't really do anything with him, which is a shame because pretty damn good worker even at that stage of his career. We then get, and I'm going to butcher these names, I apologize, but it's a Japanese women tag team match. It's Izuka Yamazaki, Mama Kitamura versus Mika Hanada and Miss A. Miss A decided to kick everybody's head off in this, sweet Christ. Izuki was actually a member of the former Jumping Bomb Angels. This is actually not that bad. The crowd did get into it quite a bit. I mean, it was only like maybe an 8-minute match. It was very odd to see Japanese women wrestling on a WCW card, even though they kind of had a bit of a relationship with New Japan. But it was very, very odd. Very, very odd. And it was what it was. Well, they also had like a working relationship with All Japan at one point when there was a bit of a dispute with like a show that Flair was supposed to be on in the previous year in February of 1990, but that's another story for another day. This actually wasn't that bad of a match. Again, the crowd did get into it a little bit, and a victory roll for 3. So Izuki and Mami get the victory. Mami? No, wait, that's Nani? That's what it is. Somebody put up a compilation of that from some anime where it's just everybody saying Nani for like 5 minutes, and it's hilarious. So, Schiavone and Missy Hyatt are talking, and they send Missy Hyatt back into the men's locker room to interview the superstars, the wrestlers. That didn't go well. we had Buddy Landale versus Dustin Rhodes. Dustin Rhodes coming over to WCW shortly after, his dad left. Dustin decided to leave. Basically, they didn't have anything for him, but he was going to go there. He was going to get over, and then Vince was going to steal him, which Vince never did, except he totally did. Buddy Landale, by this point, look, he was actually pretty good in the ring, but he was his own worst enemy, as he's said, Mid-South and various other promotions, though he was a good worker. Dustin got the victory after a running bulldog. It was fine. It wasn't anything great. We then get Stan Hansen yelling at Missy Hyatt. Look, I'm not even saying I'm the biggest fan of Missy Hyatt. I actually thought she was pretty good in Mid-South, what little bit I've seen of her. They didn't want to use her at all, and I don't understand it. I'm not saying she's like the greatest ever, but she is somebody they could have used a whole lot better, and they just made her a backstage interviewer and just made her somebody that was like a punching bag, for jokes. She was just like, somebody to bounce jokes off of. Oh, she's, a stupid blonde woman is probably what they were thinking, so they put her back there. I'm not saying I thought that. I'm not saying that at all. Because, again, looking with the benefit of hindsight, you just see that Missy Hyatt could have done a whole lot better, and they just didn't do anything with her. But WCW didn't feel that she was worth much of anything. Anyway, the Young Pistols, Tracy Smothers and Steve Armstrong versus the Royal Family, Jack Victory and Rip Morgan. Cool, two teams I don't really care about. Young Pistols weren't that bad. Jack Victory in a tag team. Sorry, snooze fest. The power went out briefly during this, a la Mania 24, where they had to use spotlights and stuff like that. Pay-per-view broadcast didn't go out, but the power in the venue went off, where they had to use emergency power and spotlights while they got the power back up. And that was kind of funny. And eventually, Smothers started, hitting super kicks. Damn kids and these super kick parties that are going on. He was doing super kick parties before the Bucks were even, around. Before they were even a gleam in their father's eye. So, suplex counter, and Smothers gets a victory. Cool. Not bad. If it seems like I'm skipping through some of these because a lot of these weren't all that good. Shivani and DDP. DDP yells a lot and calls Teddy Long a peanut head. And then Teddy Long comes out and confronts DDP, says, I helped him get you into WCW. I trusted you and this kind of stuff and da-da-da-da. That's going to reference a match you're going to have later. And then we have Terry Taylor, again, the computerized man of the 1990s. Such a technological marvel that was Terry Taylor, the Red Rooster. This somehow was not the worst gimmick that he had. The Red Rooster was, but boy, the computerized man of the 1990s. Don't know what the fuck. The Z-Man. No DQ match. They'd had a brief feud on syndicated TV, and I didn't really care. And it's sad because Terry Taylor's a pretty good worker. Zenk wasn't really all that good. If you took him out of tag teams, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't great. And there were a lot of rest holds and the ref distraction. Despite the fact it's no DQ match, we need to do a ref distraction. And Terry Taylor holds the tights, gets the victory. It was a no DQ match, so why in the world would they need to distract the ref? They distracted the ref basically because Z-Man almost got the victory, but they were treating this like Terry Taylor couldn't have just instantly got up, hit a low blow, and done this because it was a no DQ match. Wasn't very well thought out, but Terry Taylor gets victory. Paulie dangerously doing the danger zone. Cue the Archer gifts. He was dressed in a mariachi outfit. Again, this is in Phoenix, Arizona. Boy, he says a lot of stuff about calling immigration on all the illegal aliens that are there. This is why Paul Heyman wanted to build a wall in ECW, I guess. This didn't age well. This wasn't even funny. This is like, boy, Heyman can talk. It's one thing to say a lot of stuff, but it's like, woo, this has aged like a fine milk on the moon. I'm not even blaming Heyman. I don't know. Maybe Heyman just decided to say this stuff because he's like, fuck it. I can sue WCW if they fire me. He tried doing that before when he got fired. And then in 92, when it was Bill Watts saying a lot of anti-Semitic stuff, and I'm sure it was that or at least something close to it. Because Watts wasn't exactly a saint either. He knocks a lot of... He knocks Elegante. He even says, ladies and gentlemen, illegal aliens and all in between. Nox Elegante, don't look behind me, referencing like stealing something. I know that's what you people do. Wow. Wow. Good Lord. And then he slams Paul. That's the most athletic thing that Paul Heyman's ever done. Or at least at that point. This segment didn't age all that well. And then we get Stan Hansen versus Vader. Thankfully, no eyes popped out during this. They brawled for like 6 minutes and ended up being a DQ. So it wasn't necessarily like their matches in All Japan and stuff like that. In All Japan, New Japan, any Japanese promotion, it wasn't anything like the brawls they could have there. And also all the tobacco, the chewing tobacco Stan Hansen had. Sweet Christ, that was something I could have done without seeing, but whatever. It worked for him. It was disgusting. Chewing tobacco is disgusting. I'm sorry to everybody if you happen to do it, but I think it's disgusting. And it definitely shouldn't have been on a wrestling show, but it was also part of Stan Hansen's character, and it's not like Stan Hansen was the only guy doing that on camera on a wrestling show. Let's go back to Texas wrestling and all that, and various other promotions, even in the South or even in the North. They were buck wild and they were crazy. And I'm not going to tell Stan Hansen, even at this age, that he was stupid for doing it. Because he wasn't. It was his choice, and whatever. Good thing Stan Hansen went to, All Japan and worked for Baba, because Baba paid him well, and he was a huge star over there. One of, if not the greatest American wrestler to go over there and, work in Japan. He's he's up there. If he's not at least somebody's top 5, I'm gonna kind of question what that is, how much the history you've studied, because you cannot be a fan of Stan Hansen, but fucking hell, he got a lot of money and a lot of attention over there and had a lot of brawls and was great. So we get Dan Spivey versus Lex Luger, U.S. title. Thank you. Next. I mean, come on, it's Lex Luger for the U.S. With the U.S. Championship, and Dan Spivey, who is goddamn shit. So. Yeah, it was a lazy reversal off the top rope, and Luger got an inside cradle for 3. And this match went over 10 minutes. And Dan Spivey couldn't do anything. Dan Spivey wasn't even that good when you put him in a tag team, because he's pretty shitty. Nikita Koloff then has come back. He originally left, I believe, to leave wrestling because his wife had. Was it Lou Gehrig's disease or something? It was some illness that she had that unfortunately led to his wife's passing. At least his wife at the time. I don't know if he's married now or he remarried, but he left wrestling in part because of that, and it was a really sad story. What I read about it, I can't recall the illness right now, but Nikita Koloff's like congratulating Luger. Hey, I got this briefcase, I got the championship, I want to present it to you, and he presents it to him by hitting him in the face with it, because Nikita Koloff's coming back to wrestling. And then he was only there for about another year and a half. Until Vader gave him a broken neck on, Halloween Havoc 92. And it wasn't Vader's fault. It was just an accident that happened, but sad how Nikita Koloff's career ended there. He's doing the work he loves now, so that's what matters. So, Nikita Koloff actually did, before he hit Luger in the face, after he hit him in the face, referenced the fact that Luger originally took the U.S. title from him, I want to say in 87? I want to say it was 87. 87, 88, one of those two. Nikita Koloff's a pretty damn good U.S. champion. So we then get Doom and the Fabulous Freebirds World Tag Team Championship match. This was not nearly as good as the Capital Combat match that I talked about in my previous retro review, where it was Doom versus the Steiner Brothers, because it was the Fabulous Freebirds. It was Hayes and Garvin. DDP was there. DDP was a bigger star at that point and better in the ring than Hayes and Garvin were. Because Hayes was never good. Garvin, at that point, was roided out of his goddamn mind. Teddy Long is with Doom, and they've been teasing this whole thing with Doom having issues and stuff like that. And what happened is, it looked like Doom might get the victory, but no. There was this point where Ron Simmons had Hayes held, I believe. It was Hayes or Garvin. That's how little I remember about this. He had one of them, and Butch Reed got a foreign object, or an international object. That is something from Turner. He didn't want it to be foreign object, international object, because that rolls right off the goddamn tongue. And Reed hit Simmons accidentally, and then Simmons gets covered 1, 2, 3. So new tag team champions. And then Reed and Teddy Long beat the shit out of Simmons. Well, Reed does, while Teddy Long tries to do stuff, but mainly encourage Reed. Thus would lead to the breakup of Doom. Reed would be done soon after, like at least as far as full time, and Simmons would be built up as a singles guy and would eventually win the WCW championship from Vader. Just over a year after this, I think it was like August 92, August 8th or 15th of 92. I don't think that match is on the network. If it is, please tell me what link it is so I can check that out, because I want to actually retro review that match at some point and talk about the importance of it. So anyway, that was it. We get the War Games match now. Horsemen. Arn Anderson could not compete due to injury, so it was Ric Flair, Sid Vicious, Barry Windham, and Larry Zbyszko representing the Horsemen. Arn at ringside. versus Sting Stingers, even though that wasn't it. He would be Sting Squadron, or he would be Sting Squadron, the name, a little bit later at the 92 War Games at WrestleWar, which I will actually probably retro review at some point later next month. And it was Sting, the Steiners, and Brian Pillman. And the whole story here is Brian Pillman having an injured shoulder, but starting off the whole thing and not giving up. Barry Windham bled, Flair bled, I'm not shocked. This match, underappreciated War Games match. The only issue I had was near the end, because the roof was so goddamn low. Sid Vicious is trying to pick up Pillman for a powerbomb. I put a video up on my Twitter, which you probably won't see. If you aren't watching this like soon after I put the video up, it'll probably be buried under a whole bunch of tweets. But I put up a video that I just recorded on my phone, just shot to the TV, and he picks him up and Sid launches Pillman into the roof. Just like shooting him up and everything, and he was going to come down, but there was no give, so he just went right down. And then he did a powerbomb, and Pillman landed right on his goddamn head because Sid got him up, and the roof stopped it. It's like, holy shit. He drops him. He didn't mean to. I mean, Sid, I do give a lot of shit to Sid, understandably, even though I like Sid, the scissors incident, where he was scissoring with Arn, don't ask. And there was, other stuff that he has done, the fact that he's absolutely insane, but he didn't mean to do that. But then he did another powerbomb to him. Okay, then you can blame him for that, because it's like, maybe you shouldn't have done that, because then Elegante gets in, Giant Gonzalez, I'm just going to call him that, because that name rolls off the tongue better. And the referee determines, Nick Patrick determines, Pillman cannot continue. So that ends the match. So it was a weak finish, but actually not that bad of a War Games match. Again, 92 WrestleWar match was a lot better. So yeah, not really a great show, but it is fun to look back on these. And I hope you guys enjoyed these retro reviews. I'm going to be doing a lot more, probably at random, along with the 1990, 1995, and 2000 WCW ones. I might be just diving into ones that I have not retro reviewed before, because realistically, content is key, and I kind of need stuff. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.